I think we should all be keeping our eye on this little bird flu situation that's going on right now. Only one person has been infected so far, a man in Texas, but it's spreading through cattle, and I believe it's spread to two more states since the last time we talked about this just a few days ago. And the media is starting to hype this thing up. They're saying stuff like this. Let's read this headline. Bird flu scamdemic could be 100 times worse than the beer bug, scientists warn. Now, supposedly, this particular strain is very rare and it has an over 50% kill rate. Now, I've seen some people saying that they don't believe that the bird flu can hop from birds to mammals, to humans, which I guess are mammals, because when you think of the bird flu, you think of it affecting birds. But it's been hopping to other species lately. And yes, humans are getting it too. But as the media starts hyping this up, like this may be the next big thing, as they lick their chops because they desperately want to lock us down, there's something that I want everyone to remember. It's important. It is so important that we start pointing out this stuff early on. I'm not saying that this can get as bad as what we went through a few years ago, but in order to prevent that, we have to remember how we got here, and we have to point things out while we can. So as the media is hyping this stuff up, putting out headlines like what I just showed you, I want you all to remember this headline from just a month or so ago. U.S. is collaborating with Chinese scientists to make bird flu strains more infectious and deadly as part of a $1 million project, despite fears similar tests unleashed the beer bug. The U.S. government is spending $1 million of American taxpayer money to fund experiments on dangerous bird flu viruses in collaboration with Chinese scientists. The research involves infecting ducks and geese with different strains to make them more infectious and study the potential to jump into mammal hosts, according to research documents. It is being funded through the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and collaborating studies will take place at sites in Georgia, Beijing, and Edinburgh in Scotland. So right in the U.S., they're doing these tests. And as this stuff starts spreading, and they're going to pretend like we don't know what the hell is happening. Where did this come from? How is this spreading from birds to cows? How is it spreading to people? What is going on here? They're going to play that game, okay? We all know they are. But let's not forget that right out in the open, just a few short weeks ago, before this little problem started spreading through the cattle, they were out here in the mainstream letting you know that they were doing these tests purposely. So I don't want there to be any confusion going forward as to why this is probably happening, okay? But if you think this isn't something that you have to worry about, I assure you it is. I'm not telling you that you're going to get infected by this stuff, but what matters is the response that we're going to see from the powers that be. Also, I believe one of the biggest, if not the biggest, eggplants one of, if not the largest egg producer in America, has now shut down because this stuff is spreading through their factories. So you may see a shortage of eggs at your local grocery store. Maybe it's time for us all to get chickens. But with that being said, I'm going to roll this news clip really quickly. As I do, make sure you all hit that thumbs up button and drop a comment below. Let me know what you think thus far, and then I'll be right back with more thoughts.
America's largest egg producer has stopped production because of bird flu. Federal health officials say that the threat to humans remains low, but the situation is certainly being monitored very carefully. Health reporter Stephanie Stahl joining us with more on how we all stay safe.
That's right. You have to pay attention to this one. You know, officials say the avian flu has moved from poultry to cows and has now infected 2 people. The biggest risk is to those who have direct contact with the animals, but experts say it's also a good idea to take some extra precautions around food. With bird flu spreading, the CDC says the risk to humans remains low, but is warning people to thoroughly cook eggs and poultry to an internal temperature of about 165 degrees. And with cows now impacted, people should avoid unpasteurized milk and raw cheese.
This is not a matter that the average person need be concerned about regarding their food supply, except perhaps that the price of eggs may go up, which nobody is looking forward to. Eggs are safe. Pasteurized milk is completely safe. You don't have to worry about that.
6 states are now reporting outbreaks of avian flu among dairy cows. This week, a Texas dairy worker had pink eye after testing positive for the virus, becoming only the 2nd known human case in the United States.
This virus, fortunately, has not yet had the capacity to spread readily from person to person. There's no evidence of person-to-person spread, so let's all keep our fingers crossed.
In Texas, the nation's largest egg producer shut down production and is in the process of slaughtering more than 1.5 million chickens after a major bird flu outbreak at its plant. The number represents less than 4% of the company's flock and less than 1% of chickens in the U.S.
All the eggs were destroyed. The chickens are going to be destroyed, so it's completely safe.
The Texas Agriculture Commissioner says there's no reason for people to be alarmed.
The only way you could get it from eggs is if you ate them raw. I don't think that's going to be a problem. To consumers, eggs are safe.
The USDA is advising people to also wash their hands after handling raw poultry and eggs. And the CDC says it is continuing to work with the USDA, FDA, and state health departments to monitor people exposed to animals impacted by these viruses. So it's something that they are going to be carefully monitoring. We'll keep you posted on this one.
Without question.
When looking at a situation like this one, I feel as if you have to approach it from every angle that you can possibly imagine. You need to think of the possibilities, and we've seen some of the possibilities a few years ago about what they might do when it comes to something like this. And if you think it can't happen again, then you're being really naive, because I think they want it to happen again. And, you know, as they itch to try to take our personal freedoms away in any way possible, I think it's important, as I was saying earlier, to point things out when you can. To go ahead and leave what I would call a trail of information. So when we get to a point where they try something like they've tried before again, we're already on top of it. You know, we're already on top of it, already spreading the information. So not as many people get caught off guard. And so more people can understand the reality of what is going on. But when I look at this news story, it doesn't go over my head that we're living in a time where they're trying to encourage us to eat less meat. You know, you will eat the bugs and live in the pods. They want us to eat less meat. They're already, you know, trying to encourage people to eat bugs and things of that nature. They're talking about how cow farts are the main leading cause of climate change and all of this stuff. So that doesn't go over my head either. Like I said, I'll approach this from every angle I can, and I do think there may be multiple different agendas at play. But at the end of the day, regardless of what your belief is as to what's happening, you have to be prepared, because just because you think this is some BS, or I don't have to worry about this, or I don't have to worry about that, you never know what these people will pull. You know what I mean? Regardless if this is actually, you know, a disease that we all need to be worried about, what we have to be worried about is the response. And we've seen before that they are irrational with how they respond to these things. And I wouldn't put it past them to be irrational again. But even on more of a simpler scale, you know, this is affecting our food supply. And we've seen random things happening to the water. We've seen things happening to farmland, the food industry. You know, we've seen these warehouses exploding. It just seems like we are living in a state of constant emergency and catastrophes. Every single day, it's something. But with that being said, let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. While you're down there, make sure you hit that thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. If you want to donate to the channel, you could do so via Cash App or Super Thanks. And with that being said, I'll talk to you all soon in the next one.